Your claim that if we engage in certain types of discussions, this kind of reaction emerges is absolutely the case. I mean, for at least 6 months after I made what you might describe as my initial political stance, I was swarmed by people who were using every possible pejorative to take me out so that none of my arguments needed to be taken seriously.
Okay, today we're talking about the ENTP. The ENTPs are idea gatherers. They are constantly gathering ideas, creating ideas, and for lack of a better term, they really come across as ADD nerds. The ENTP is asking the question, do these concepts I'm learning about, these things that I like to learn about and think about, do they work for me? Can I make them into a system that makes sense for me? Now, some ENTPs will jump their introverted thinking for their extroverted feeling sometimes. They come across as a double extrovert in NeFe, and they're not quite asking the question, do these concepts work for me? They're saying, are these concepts liked by everyone? And if they're liked by everyone, then I'll make them work for me. Okay, so the first type of ENTP is the self before tribe ENTP, and this is your standard Myers-Briggs ENTP. And so they lead with extraverted intuition, which means they are idea gatherers. They are thinking about new concepts, new ways of doing things, and very much kind of nerdy type of thought. They then take those ideas and they think about them in a way that works for them. They use what's called introverted thinking. So they take these concepts and they'll boil them down into a system that works for them. They also have extroverted feelings, so after a while they can figure out a little bit what is cool, what people like. And so the ENTP oftentimes have this stereotype of being like the cool nerds because they have just enough idea of what people like and what is popular to make some of these ideas popular, unlike the INTP. Their introverted sensing is fourth, and so they will have a difficult time in organizing their thoughts and organizing a lot of their great ideas, have a hard time completing tasks and really completing most things. They have so many different interests, they're going to have a hard time really completing their interest before they move on to the next thing. Some ENTPs will come across more as an NF, in that instead of putting their own needs before others, they will be really tribe before self. So they will be using their extroverted intuition to come up with other ideas of how to then serve others and to see if things are cool, if they work well, before then putting into their own internal system. And so they're using the ENTP functions, but they're coming across very much as a double extrovert type person, and they come across more as an NF. So the strengths of the ENTP is to be able to use their lead function of extroverted intuition to read and study and learn broadly and take all those concepts and all that information and to distill it down into a system of thought that works for them. And so an ENTP is very good at doing just that. The overall life struggle, however, for an ENTP is to take all that information, all that system building, and organizing it. They have it organized in their mind, but to the person they're talking to the people they're talking to, it doesn't seem that organized. You'll see a lot of ENTPs with a lot of very different interests, and so they just have to figure out what is it that exactly that they're trying to do, why they're trying to do it, and take all those interests and distill it down into one overarching life mission, life vision.
Well, hopefully we stop calling each other cheap names. That would be a nice start rather than addressing the issues. But I would also say a certain amount of persistence is called for. If you're mobbed on social media, a brief bit of advice by people who are doing exactly the sort of thing that you're describing, I would say two things. The first is be careful about what you've said and what you've said in the past, and maybe it's a bit too late for that. The second thing I would say is, if you haven't done anything wrong, do not apologize.
That is your minute.
And then wait 2 weeks, and it'll go away.
Terry Butler.